Hi, folks. In today's GM Diary, I'm going to be talking you through my process for prepping for a town session. As much fun as constant, battles and encounters and puzzle solving is, sometimes you need to just give your players a, chill, relax town session where they can, spend some of that gold that they've gotten and maybe just chill out, hang, talk, get into a bar fight, or go on a fun little tiny side quest. So these are the things that I always try to prep for a town session, and then a couple of tips that I've just picked up as I've been game mastering. So first of all, shops. Know what shops you have in your town. And I will suggest that if this is your first time being a game master, start small. This is what I did. I started my players out in smaller towns, so I only had to have one magic shop, if there even was one, one, maybe two blacksmiths in a larger town, a general store, stuff like that. I really had less than 10 shops, and there was only one magic item shop that they could go to. So have your list of shops, jot down a name for the shopkeeper, because they're probably going to go talk to them, and then come up with the list of what's available in the shop and the prices. This is just going to speed things along so that you don't have to sit there and really sit down and look up how much is a cart going to cost? How much is a horse going to cost? And then this is also stuff that you can kind of use as a template for towns moving forward. Now, when you're coming up with prices, keep in mind how readily available something is and where you are in the world. If you're in a much more remote section, things might be a little bit more pricier. So, that's just something to keep in mind. Or if you have something that's a rarer item in that area because it's not made there. Now, you probably aren't going to be able to anticipate everything, so you might want to bookmark in your rulebook where the breakdown of pricings is located. If your player asks, I want to try and find magic mushrooms. Okay, how much would those cost? And, roll with it, come up with things that make sense. Another thing I also do is I come up with a list of the major NPCs in the town. So this is the mayor of the town, the head of the town guard, the shopkeepers, as I mentioned. And then, the barkeep and maybe one or two other NPCs that might be good for adventure quests, side quests, or relevant to, your players always go and talk to the tavern, innkeeper. Write down an NPC name. I don't necessarily come up with everything for the NPCs. I usually just come up with name, a short description of them, and then, one or two words kind of describing their personality so I can remember that. And that's more so moving forward. So if they come back to this town and they go talk to Jane the shopkeep, I can remember how Jane the shopkeep talked and what they were like. Also, write down a list of extra names. This is for all the surprise NPCs that your characters are I'm gonna go talk to this guy at the bar. And you're I was not planning on that. So just having a list of names that you can pull from, say them out loud because before you get to the session so you can see, does this sound like a goofy name that my players are going to make fun of for the rest of time? That happened to me plenty of times. Or you don't end up with Bob the dwarf and Bob the elf and Bob the half dragon, because that's the only name you can think of on the spot. So I found that super helpful, just to have a list of names for NPCs that I could draw from and just kind of cross them out and then jot down a couple of notes in the session to help remind me if they ever run into this NPC again. Another thing that I've thrown into a couple of my towns are town notice boards or a town crier. This is a fun little place to throw in some a side quest hook. I definitely had a town notice board that mentioned some people were missing in the area, or there were some weird stuff going on in the cemetery and somebody was willing to hire somebody to go investigate that. Those kind of job postings that might seem fairly mundane but are a nice little This is something that we'll probably be able to cover in one session, maybe not even the whole session, so they can get some shopping in beforehand, and then go do a fun little, like, yay, we destroyed the zombie that's been rising up out of the cemetery every night and terrorizing the neighbors. Or having a town crier, or even some notices on the message board that drop little hints about some bigger things going on in the world. I definitely know this is something Matt Mercer has done in Critical Role, and I've definitely stolen that a little bit to have some hints that my players may or may not have picked up on, or they may have not realized what it was until they got later in the game and connected the dots. But it also helps make an idea of, like, the world is bigger than just your party, that there's other things going on that they may or may not get involved in, and that to me just makes the world come alive a little bit more, and it's fun. And ultimately, know your players. If this is a group that you've been playing with for a long time and you know 3 of them always want to go shopping, that's all they're going to want to do, be prepped for a shopping episode. Be prepped with those shopkeeps and the list of things that they can find. Maybe throw in like a fun little cool knick-knack that may or may not be magical, but it's going to be something your players are going to love and be like, I have to buy this weird random ball of yarn that's sparkling. Or if you have players that they want to run in, be like, I'm going to buy some health potions, I want to buy this, and then I want to go find a fight ring. Great, then you can build that town session to be a little bit more geared towards, okay, yeah, you'll handle all of the shopping stuff in 10 minutes and spend the majority of the session on this fight ring. And with that, I'll suggest if you're playing with a new group of players, or even if you're playing with a group of players you've played with for a long time, if you know you're moving into a town session, ask your players what they want to do. Ask them, is there an item your character's really looking for? Are you wanting to stock up on health potions? Is there a mythical item that you're looking for? It may not be available in that town, but you might be able to drop a little quest line idea of where they could go to find it, or to get the thing and then hire the artificer to make it. Or they might say, yeah, I don't really care about shopping and getting items, but I'd love to have a fun little side quest that we do and get that nice yeah, we accomplished something, we helped people out. That way you can customize the town session for your party so that everybody's getting something out of it. So that's my advice for building a town session. If you have any advice or things that you find super helpful when you're prepping for a session in a town, let's talk about it more down in the comments below. A big thanks to our patrons, especially Bryce. If you want to support our channel, you can head over to our Patreon page and check out the perks of being a patron. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe because we make videos here every week about tabletop RPGs and our other geeky interests. Alright, I'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative. Bye! I was rambling. Cut that!